Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible. In golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2025, Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online. Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
All right, we have a very special guest today, Mr. Benny Feilhaber. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Thad. Thanks for having me on the show.
With me, I have Kerry Robinson. Hi, Kerry.
Hi.
So it's been a lot of news lately with Sporting. Peter leaving the club, Kerry coming in as the interim. Do you have any takes on the news?
Look, I mean, Peter is Sporting, at least the Sporting that we've all known, that I've known. I came to the club in 2013, and by that time, I think Peter had already, changed the culture of the club and had instilled a very, exact way of playing. And then back then we played a very high tempo, high pressing system. We had the bodies to do it. I remember, the difficulty from my perspective in adapting to it. But once I did, it was, a great system that helped us not only win championships, but get me to the highest level of playing in my career at that point. And so, look, I mean, Peter is synonymous with soccer in Kansas City at this point. I mean, he touches so many aspects of it, and even now that he's no longer the first team coach, I mean, you see everything that he's done. And look, I think the biggest thing that I hope to, from my perspective, to say, and also that I hope that fans and players and media all understand, is that yes, the last couple years have not been what we've all expected from a Sporting Kansas City soccer team, but the vast majority of the almost 20 years I guess that he's been with the club, it's a history that no one else will probably ever be able to write at any other club until the end of time in MLS. So I look at it very fondly, what Peter's been able to build and what I was able to be a part of. I hope that Kerry has, the full support of the ownership and the fans with his attempt now to take over in a difficult moment. But yeah, I think we all want to see some positive change in how the team plays. And I know we won against St. Louis, which is a good start. And hopefully that, breeds a little bit more confidence in the group and the team, and I think that'll go a long way. So I think everybody needs to get behind the team at this point and hope that we can start making some strides in the right direction.
Do you feel like that's a job that you would want to attempt to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever kept it secret. I'm not a guy to not tell my true emotions, and I always have said that I have truth Tourette's, right? So it's hard for me to like even not let alone lie, but not even the ability to kind of hide exactly how I feel. And coaching for Sporting Kansas City has always been a dream of mine since, I started, even before I started coaching. But, you start thinking of the things that you're going to do once your career is kind of coming to an end. And coaching was always something that I was excited for. And, the day that Peter gave me the job to not, this was before the second team, before the academy, he gave me almost like an associate coaching job where I was kind of all over the place. One of the spots was with the first team, and I told him, I'm like, look, my goal would be to have the job that you have one day. And so that's always been the case. I still have ambition to be there. I don't know if that's, today, tomorrow, or in 5 years from now, but I think the owners know that about me as well. And yeah, I do have that ambition to one day, lead that team in that job.
I don't even know how you go about this, but have you officially put in your name? Like, have you sent in a resume or something?
I haven't. I don't even know where that process is, to be completely honest. And I told my agent that I'm interested in putting my name. I would love nothing more than to be part of the interview process. I think that is where everything, begins. And hopefully I've done enough for the club as a player, now as a coach, in terms of the passion that I've showed for this club to be a name that the owners would like to consider in the mix. And then it always boils down to kind of what the owners are looking for in the next coach. And I think the first crack goes to Kerry. Obviously, he has an opportunity as the interim coach to show what he's all about. If he can get this team playing in a way where we can be more competitive and winning more games. So, that's first. But if they do start the process, yeah, I would love to throw my hat in the ring and show them and talk to them about what I see for Sporting's future. But again, I think that's a little bit further down the road right now. We're still in that, interim title where Kerry has to be given that support, and I truly believe that. I don't think you can completely start a search for a new coach and also give Kerry the ability to have their support and the ability to hopefully surprise us in a positive way. With the ability to turn a team around that hasn't been very good over the last year plus.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Springfest deals are still in full swing at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 bags of Stay Green Premium Color 2 cubic foot mulch for only $10. And get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save up to $300 when you buy 2 or more select GE kitchen appliances of $396 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/16, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
Do you feel like the next coach for Sporting would benefit from having that history with the club?
I think in the short term, for sure. If we want to see an immediate 180 from, obviously the last 2+ years, although, we made a very, very unbelievable run in the back end of 23 to make it into the playoffs. But I think we could all say that 23, 24, and the start of 25 as a whole hasn't been very good. I think that if you want something to change for this season, I think it has to be someone that's somewhat close with the team, that has either been watching the team intently or has relationships with the players to some extent, because I think it's difficult for somebody that's never seen our team play, never seen the players play, come in and be able to change thing, on a dime, where now you're going from what we've seen to something completely different and being able to compete and win games. And so I do think for the short term. In terms of the long term, not necessarily. If you're going to, bring someone in, you look at the clubs in MLS, Nashville, for example, right? They brought in BJ Callahan sometime in the middle of the year last year, but he really only took the team kind of back end of the year and then kind of trained them and then got them going in this year, and they look like a different club. And so I do think that if you're going to give, 6 to 12 months time for the team to kind of start looking different, then I think that you can look at any place. But if you want to try and make the playoffs right now, maybe it's still a young enough season, but I do think that more likely the short-term change will come from someone that knows the club a little bit better than someone that's never watched us play before.
And you've played under both Peter and Kerry and to an extent. Have you seen enough from like what Kerry has kind of done as an assistant to kind of say that he is the short-term person in the meantime, or could you see him kind of going even farther than that because he's been with the club for so long?
I think it's tough. I've been around coaches when they were the assistants and then the head, even going back to college. I came into college, Tom Fitzgerald was our head coach and Jorge Salcedo was our assistant coach. I loved Jorge as an assistant coach. He became the head coach after, and his whole personality changed, right? He was meaner, he was tougher. Maybe you need to be that a little bit as a head coach. But I think people change, right? I think assistant coaches have different jobs than head coaches. And so I don't know what Kerry's going to be like. I don't know if I'll even know what he is like because I'm not in the locker room, but the players will probably see a change in just his personality as a head coach. And yeah, I don't necessarily have an answer. I think time will tell. During the St. Louis game, I didn't see too much different. I thought the one thing that I really thought was different, and I'd be curious to know if this is something that came from Kerry or from the players. After the 1-0, I felt like we kind of high pressed a little bit. We kept the bodies higher. We didn't allow St. Louis to just easily get into our final third and create chances in our box. And ultimately the second goal came from that higher press and turning the ball over and creating that counterattack. That was one thing that we hadn't seen so much. We had been a little bit passive when we took the lead. I mean, you look back, I know Dallas was so short-lived, the lead that we had, but I do think that played a big part in the result. We scored with about 20 plus minutes left, I think. And if we had just sat back and defended for our lives, I don't know if we would have been able to sustain it. So it was good that the guys stayed higher up. That was the biggest change that I saw with Kerry. But again, it's one game. I don't know what he has up his sleeves. I think the time will tell, and we got to give him a little bit of an opportunity to kind of showcase what he can do as a head coach.
Wow, this house is cute. But can I really get in the game in this economy? I do have savings, and I am responsible-ish. I should bury it. I'm being wild. But what if I'm not being wild, though? Could I actually score a...
Kick off your home buying journey with Zillow's new BuyAbility tool. It makes it easy to find out what you can afford so you can get off the bench and onto the playing field with confidence. Check your BuyAbility only on Zillow.
This episode is brought to you by the Toyota Grand Highlander. From daily routines to life-changing adventures, the Toyota Grand Highlander is spacious, powerful, and ready to take on life's grand challenges. Advanced safety features and innovative technology give you confidence for whatever life throws at you. And it's available in a hybrid Nightshade Special Edition, which includes sophisticated gloss black exterior accents and 20-inch black alloy wheels. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to tell you that Michelob Ultra is giving you the chance to win tickets to the NBA Finals. That's right, the 2025 NBA Finals. Just head to MichelobUltra.com/NBA Finals. Michelob Ultra Courtside NBA Finals Sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents, excluding Maryland residents. 21 up. Begins at 9 a.m. EST on February 16, 2025. Ends on May 5th, 2025. See official rules at MichelobUltra.com/rules for price and details. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Spring is here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
You said you've been in that spot where, coaches change. Um, do players just kind of step it up a little bit? There's that the famed do coach bounce.
Bump, yeah. The new
Yeah,
coach bump.
and sometimes it seems like maybe it's just players are trying a little bit harder just to prove that they weren't the problem. Or I don't really know, but what do you see from having been in that spot?
There's definitely truth to the new coach bump. For this, one of the simplest reasons is because somebody else is making the decision on who's playing, right? It's someone else, and every player essentially feels like they kind of have a blank slate. And so, whether you're a guy that was playing all the time under Peter, is your position still safe in terms of playing every game? And so you kind of, you bring a little bit more energy, a little bit more focus and concentration. I think the guys that weren't playing as much under Peter have the thought process of maybe I can prove it to Kerry that I am a guy that can be counted on a little bit more than I was before. So they, bring their A game as well. And I think that in itself, right, especially in a league like MLS, that there's so little difference between the best team and the worst team. I think it makes a world of difference, right? The energy, the belief, the concentration, the focus, etc. And so I think that's what we saw a little bit in St. Louis. And look, I mean, I'll be honest, we didn't play great in the first half against St. Louis. I thought that they had the majority of the chances. I mean, one ball hit the post. There was another counter where Pulskamp kind of like saved it, and then it bounced back out, I think, to Akil Watts, and he kicked it over the crossbar. There was a chance in the second half where there was a cutback ball where somebody didn't get on the end of it. And so, look, we survived. We bent but didn't break to some extent. But then you saw the resiliency through all that to now create a really good opportunity where I haven't seen those vertical passes that we got from Radoya to Manu, and then obviously the slip pass from Manu to Dejan. The second goal, like I said, we saw something different in the high pressing of trying to turn the ball over and not allowing them into our end, and then turning that into a quick counter attack, which we haven't seen very much of either. And not only the good shot from Manu, the good shot from Manu, and then obviously Dejan being on the doorstep. So we did see some good things in that second half. But what does that mean, right? We saw a pretty good reaction against Minnesota, 3-0 to 3-3. We didn't really see a good game after the Minnesota game. Can we now turn this win into something more than just a one-off? Because, look, it wasn't like it was perfect. It was never going to be, but the resiliency was there, and I think that's what you see in the new coach bump. Now, can it kind of progress into something a little bit more?
How long would from the outside looking in, I don't know if you even want to answer this directly, but how long do you give a new coach to see if they actually are the answer? How do you know?
Look, with Kerry being the guy that's been there for, I don't know, Kerry's been there even longer than Peter, right, as a player and whatnot. So Kerry's been there forever, and he knows the team, and I think he must have, as the assistant coach for as long as he's been, have had some ideas of what he would love to do as a coach, and so he has this opportunity now. I think that there shouldn't be a crazy amount of time that needs to go by for you to know what Kerry's philosophy is going to be. I think 5 games, 6, 7, 8 games, I think you're going to have an idea of what kind of coach he's going to be. Now, how much time do you give in terms of results to kind of turn? If you see a performance increase, right? If we're playing better, if we're creating more chances, if we're looking better defensively, if there's a more cohesion, but maybe we're dropping results still, and you see like there's something that could be built, I think you give them more time to see if that can change. Now, if you see 6, 7, 8 games and you don't see really any change in the performance, I think that could be enough. Again, I'm not the one to, make those decisions, but I do think you're going to see what Kerry's all about, within 6, 7, 8 games. I don't think it takes a full season for you to know what kind of coach he is looking to be.
For me personally, it'd be great with either one of you ending up being the permanent head coach, because you both were actually two of my favorite midfielders that's ever played for this team. Just very different kind of guys, but very also very.
Are you one of the owners, Thad? If you're one of the owners, that's good. That'll be solid.
Well, I don't think I have a whole lot of influence. I'm sorry, Benny. Um, I do think you have, the most recent playing experience though over Kerry, so maybe that affects it.
I don't know if that affects it or if it would affect it in a positive or a negative way, but yeah, man, I think it's an interesting time period. Obviously, there's going to be um, ups and downs. I think you look at some of the top clubs around the world, right? You look at the Man Uniteds, the Arsenals that had really long time coaches, and there's been moments of difficulty in replacing that coach. You see now, I think Arteta has done a really good job. And yeah, have they won a championship yet? No, but that's also because you got Pep Guardiola and Man City. But I think Arteta's done a really good job for Arsenal. They look like a little bit more of what they've always wanted to be. And, I think it can work in terms of what kind of team you want to be. Arteta was an ex-player, and I think he understands what the culture is. He understands what the system that they want to see be implemented there. And so I think there are benefits, but not every team is going to think that way. And I think that's, what I would love to see for Sporting if there is, a person that the ownership group believes in. And obviously that would help in my consideration. But again, if there's top managers that can come in from overseas, European, South American, that can come in here and do a job as a fan of the club, as a guy that wants to see the club get back to where they were in the 2010s, where, we were a dynasty to some degree, where we won 4 trophies and I don't know, what was it, 6 years or something like that. So hopefully that can come back regardless of who's in charge. And I think that's what most of the fans want to see.
Thad and I have talked about this before, but do you think that it needs to be a coach that comes in, we're just saying after Kerry, that needs to know MLS, or do you think that they have room to grow if they come from overseas? Like, is MLS, uh, just knowing the system, is that a priority that should be there?
I don't think you can close the door to any type of coach, in my opinion. I think that just decreases your chances of finding the right person. So I would say that it should be open to domestic coaches. It should be open to international coaches. I think you do have to understand, and only the owners can answer this, what kind of team do you want to be, right? Like, are you going to be a team that is going to be spending all kinds of money to build a roster like the, LAFCs, the LA Galaxies, the New York Cities, or, Atlanta's, Miami? I don't think so, right? You're going to be probably a team that picks and chooses your moments and tries to build in a more financially safe way, let's say. I don't know if that's the right, you know, business term, but within that, I think then you can start, maybe decreasing the options as to what kind of coaches fit into that idea, because I think some coaches might not necessarily want to coach a team that has a smaller budget than the top teams in MLS, because that could obviously hamper their opportunities to be successful. So I do think that is the first question that you probably want to answer, is what the plan is for the team going forward. And then you start figuring out, what coaches make sense.
One of the discussions we've had on the pod is, do we need to get in the chief of soccer operations or whatever they call that position that day first before we look for a coach and then does that hamper looking for players in the middle in the summer window when everybody is more free around the world? It's kind of like a chicken and an egg thing. How do they approach that? I don't know there's a right answer, but I don't know how they would approach it, but how would you approach that?
I do think that it is incredibly important to figure out who's going to be the CSO, like you said, who's going to ultimately be making the decisions of what players are going to be brought into the club, because you don't want to be bringing in players and giving them contracts and now bringing in a coach that has to potentially, take the players that he doesn't necessarily want. I think it closes down the potential candidates that would be interested in the job, right? So I do think that that's important. And also you gotta figure out the philosophy in terms of, again, the club. Is the philosophy going to be where the CSO, or let's say the GM, I don't know, like you said, there's different names for all these positions, but the GM, is he going to work together with the coach in what players to bring in, or is it just the GM's job to bring the players in and the coach to coach them? So I think that's another thing that, the ownership group needs to figure out. But yeah, I don't think you want to start making decisions without the people that you want those decisions to be made by. So that's for sure something that they need to figure out.
Cool. I know you have a limited amount of time, but just anything you want to throw out there or discuss before we let you go?
No, that. I mean, look, I think my biggest message to, the people that listen to the podcast is I care a lot about the club. I always have. It's the club that gave me the biggest platform to play at my very best. Peter gave me the first opportunity for me to become a coach, which I owe a great deal to him, obviously, as a player. That doesn't even need to be, said. But as a coach, he gave me that opportunity. And so Peter and the club, I owe a lot to. And I've always had a really good relationship with the fans. So first and foremost, I want to see this team get back to where they deserve to be and where these fans, deserve watching their team on a week out basis of competitive soccer, entertaining soccer. I want to see that stadium full again, like it used to be, where with the cauldron just, yelling drums. There's energy coming from the crowd. I feel like we haven't seen that, in a couple of seasons. And so I think all that is first and foremost. Now, if I'm part of that in some way, whether it's as a coach or whether it's as any other piece, I would do that with a lot of passion, with a lot of determination. And I do think that I'm extremely capable of doing that at a high level. I believe in my understanding of the game, my understanding of this club, and what's required for this team to be successful. So I definitely have a lot of confidence in that, but I'm sure most coaches would say the same thing about themselves.
I think any coach that's worth their salt would probably say that about themselves. Yes.
The one thing that I always say about coaches, though, if you don't admit that you still have plenty to learn, then you're not a good coach. And that I have no doubt that there's so much more to learn. And obviously I haven't had nearly the amount of experience like a guy like Kerry has. And so I have so many more experiences to build off of and whatnot. And so I do think that within time I'll be, a better coach in 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But yeah, I think the confidence in how I see the game, I think will always be there.
You've had that head coaching experience down with the two team, but that's kind of limited, and you don't always have your own decisions on who you get to play on what days and things like that. Is that something that you feel like you still need to grow in then?
I think you need to grow in everything. It's not just, the autonomy of making ultimate decisions. I think it's the ability to, see a game, make changes based on what's working, what's not working, what can you take advantage of in the other team, what you're being taken advantage of by the other team, how you can minimize that. And so just, alterations throughout the game. I think relationships with players, I think, is extremely critical with like the day and age that we play in, the type of generation that plays the game these now is different than the ones that I played, and definitely different than the one that coached me, like a Peter and whatnot. So yeah, all those things are so important and so based on experience, I think, how you learn. And so yeah, I do think that all those things I think are based on learning and getting that experience and having a different experience than, like you said, just the second team. I do think that all those things will bring more knowledge and more confidence and better decision making as a coach and whatnot for the future, for sure.
Business taxes. We're stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on turbotax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live full service.
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Fresh kicks, spring tops, new dresses. There's always a score.
I mean, the denim section is unreal.
Why do I rack? All the dresses.
I always find something amazing.
Head to your Nordstrom Rack store to find can't-miss deals on all the spring things. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
If you do not end up coaching here, I assume you're going to still be looking for head coaching positions elsewhere around the league.
Oh, I'm looking for coaching positions as we speak, as always. I think that's one thing that I've grown to understand in the coaching world is that there are going to be times you're unemployed, and you have to understand that it's not easy. You get anxious at times. You don't want to just be sitting around and feeling unproductive. But that's part of the gig. Peter's in that boat right now, right? He's a guy that is always thinking, and right now he's got to be, maybe, I don't know, evaluating or deciding what's next. I don't know if he's gotten to that step yet, or maybe he's just relaxing. But anyways, at the end of the day, that this is part of the coaching career, is sometimes not doing anything and just kind of letting your agent do your job and figure out what's next. But yeah, I've been actively seeking employment for, what is it now? About 5 months. So I'll continue to do so.
Well, you don't always have a Des Moines to go play for as an interim gig, right?
No, and that's a non-paying. I gotta start putting food on the table for the family over here. The kids are gonna starve.
Well, and again, it would be very weird to see you in another Like, it was very weird to see you in another uniform after you played for Sporting. Before you came to Kansas City, I didn't always love you as a player. I loved your ability. I didn't always love you, but after I got to know you here, man, it was I really appreciated how honest and straightforward you were with everything, and so talented and all that stuff. But it would just be weird to see you or Peter coaching anywhere else but here. I might have to deal with it though.
For sure. I don't feel that way about myself, but for Peter, I can see your perspective. If I ever see Peter coaching for another MLS team or any other team, it will feel unnatural to some degree.
Especially when I hear people like throwing out like, "Oh, Houston might need a coach." I'm like, "What? No, can't happen. No." Just any last thoughts there, Kerry, before we let Benny go back to watching Champions League?
I've missed some goals. PSG took the lead. Barcelona scored another. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I had it up over here, but I had to turn it away because otherwise I'd be looking at that instead of.
I was speaking up when they scored, so hopefully that didn't look too weird.
It's okay. This will just be audio, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Nobody wants to see my face in anything, so. I appreciate the time, Benny, and I know you have other outlets, but anytime you want to come on here and talk and give us some news or some insight or anything, you just need to let us know.
Sounds good. I appreciate that, and nice to meet you, Kerry.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
We'll see you guys soon. Bye.
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 Back on a decan. I don't give a damn if it's 9 a.m. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. Just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.